Anyway,
So welcome everybody to the leap year or leap day, February 29th, Ortelius meeting. Um, we have an extra day here, so we're going to make use of it. I put into the chat the link to the doc. I have to go through and fill out the meeting minutes for the previous one. So that is there. And also I noticed that the meeting recordings in the doc aren't updated even though they've been posted. So I have to go over to YouTube and clean that up. So I'll get to that at that level. Last time we talked, we went over some of the UI perspectives for the new UI. One of the things that we came up with that we kind of kicked around was the ability to kind of navigate a large number of files or versions. So one of the things that Tracy and I came up with yesterday that we want to run by the group is how GitHub handles this. So one of the things that if you look at GitHub that we have is, GitHub's a versioning engine. So just like Ortelius has the versioning engine into it. So the idea that we had was to bring everybody to the latest version of a component or an application version, and then do the same thing with like they do with the commits. So if you want to go back into the history view, you click on that button and we'd show that there's 199 versions of this component out there. And when we do that, we'll get this similar type of list with the date of when that version was created, and then a short description would be in that list. So this is the idea that we're thinking of that we can follow to now once you click on a particular version, here in the GitHub repo side, you say browse at this point. And that would be the same thing that we do, browse this version at this point at that level. And you'll see, it's a pretty long list. And then they do the paging to get to the next pages. So out of the 199, it looks like it's showing about 50 of them that we could then page to the next, let people page to the next, back in history and stuff like that. I know we had some ideas or back on this level. Get back to it. We had some ideas where we would go ahead and add like a table that would show the top 5, and then you could say, give me more. Then we had some ideas around doing the filter on that side. I think this approach of using the commit button, the versioning button, because people know GitHub, I think that's going to be a solution. What do people think on that front? Does it make sense?
makes sense to use GitHub, right?
Yes.
Well, not GitHub itself, but follow the GitHub navigation style.
Right.
We
So
can
I think
use
that,
like, yeah, go ahead, Tracy.
so what's important is that we don't try to create a new mind map. So most developers have already established mind maps around using GitHub. So the more that we can make it like GitHub in some of these areas, the easier it will be for people to learn to use our product, because they already have a mind map. So they know if it says 371 commits, that what they know what that is.
Makes sense. Makes complete sense. It's like a familiar interface, familiar where all the buttons are, all that kind of thing. Yeah,
Exactly.
makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what irritates me about Windows, right? Every time you get a new version, your start button is now somewhere else, right?
Your
Drives
mind
you
map
nuts.
is gone. Your mind map is gone. You
Yeah,
gotta figure
they
that
forget
all
that
over
it's all
again.
yeah.
Just like what
exactly.
you ran into with Slack. Slack
Yeah,
move things
Slack,
around on you.
exactly. All the time, and then you're like, oh no, where do I add this thing? That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, I don't know
Yeah.
if we would adopt this same menu at the top here. I'll have to look at that. Right now, when we were looking at some of the other ones, they had the filter on the side, which I think is good to get us to the filtering to get us to the summary level. But once you click on the summary level, that it would take you to the latest version, and then from there you can navigate into the or the historical versions from that point. So I think it's going to be a good pattern to follow at that level. So I think that will make it familiar for folks to follow and navigate.
Uh, I want to say something like
Yep.
we can use the GitOff principle and use the commit IDs for filtering. And second part is like Renovate will create a lot of like version increase, which is like no use to developer. So like if we do something like if it's version 1 by Renovate, we can give a specific tag. So like developer can filter out, then we can solve all the problem.
Now, the interesting thing is, now that you bring that up, is every time a new component is created, it actually has a git commit. So we can actually show the git commit as the version for the component. Now, one thing that is possible that could happen is you could have the multiple versions for the same git commit. So let's say you rerun a workflow and you change some other parameter that's not in Git, so you could actually produce a second version of a component from the same commit. But one of the things that we have, because we're looking at we're going to be backed eventually by the XRPL ledger. The ledger is going to have a specific SHA associated with it as well. So one of the things we could do is actually use commits, and then when we get into this level, wait for it to load. When we look at the history, we can repeat the same line for the same commit. So let's say we just reran the workflow, created a new version of the component. We could display the commit the git commit along with another ID showing the version from like the workflow run when that component was created. So that could be an easy way to navigate, like you said, Arvin, based on the commits.
Got it. Yeah, that would be a like nice solution.
Yeah, because one of the interesting things I've been finding is there's no link between, let's say, an SBOM and the git commit. So one of the weird things in the I looked at the latest Cyclone DX spec, and the only way that they connect an SBOM to a git commit is through this catch-all reference called external resources in the SBOM. So in the SBOM, the tool actually has to populate this external resources field or an array, which is optional, to say this is where the Git repo exists for the source code that created this SBOM. It's really kludgy in how they implemented it. So with Ortelius, we'll be able to add that extra layer of mapping the git commit to the artifact and to the SBOM, which will make this navigation of all this data much easier down the road.
And can we do something like write a GitHub action? So like in every release, we will also like creating dashboard data.
Yes, we do. We already have a GitHub action that is out there that will utilize creating the Ortelius side. So if you look at the workflow, Ukarsh wrote this initially. It's our workflow toolkit, and in there,
It is the reusable workflow, right?
yeah. So if we look at this GitHub repo, look at workflows. We have this, I think it's in here, SBOM generation workflow. Probably a bad name for it. But you generate the SBOM, and then this is where this final step is where you call the Ortelius CLI to update with that SBOM information. So we could take this and create a standalone GitHub action based on that.
Great.
And one of the things that I've done in the last week is, because we're using BuildX to generate our Docker containers now, and BuildX, when you have to turn on some options, but BuildX will generate an SBOM internally and store it into the image as a layer. So we're able to now pull out of the Docker image the SBOM that's embedded into it. So that's what this stuff is doing. And there's other things that we can pull out as part of that, is also the attestation about where the workflow ran and all that stuff. So there is some, because we use cosign as part of that BuildX process. So that's going to be in here. If you look at login to Quay. So when you add these additional flags to the Docker build, you're able to embed the provenance and the SBOM. And then based on that, we actually use cosign to do a keyless signing of that image. And then we actually verify that it was signed correctly.
Great.
So one of the things when we look at the SBOM, the deploy hub, I mean the Ortelius side, one of the things, we're able to pull out the SBOM and get it uploaded into associated to the component version, but we still have some work to do on the attestation side, pulling out the signatures and stuff. It's more complicated than I was hoping, because one of the things that you'd need when you go to pull out signatures and stuff is how to verify those signatures. So usually there's like a public key stored somewhere, or if you're using the keyless feature, you have to know that one's easier when you're using keyless. But if you have a key for the signing, you have to know where that exists, what type of signing was used. So doing a verification of something is a little more complicated on that part for the attestation and the signing piece.
Yes, the security seems, I don't know, that kind of stuff seems to me always like quite heavy going, right? Before you can even try and get something deployed, right?
Yeah.
It just looks like quite a lot of serious effort has to go in there to try and get it working.
Yeah, and one of the things, like you were saying, Arvin, we can change this into a GitHub action and put it in the GitHub action marketplace and stuff for people to include. But one of the things that what that involves is everybody has to go through and update their workflows to add that action in there, which is can be a pretty heavy lift. But one of the things that I've looked at is the ability to passively listen for updates. And I have to create an issue around this. It's just something I have had in the back of my mind. So one of the things when you look at a repository,
They just like replace the value and they will reference it in the toolkits like GitHub repo, and it works perfectly.
right. But one of the things we could do passively is there's a way to use, was it a news feed? Was it XSS news feeds to subscribe to releases? So there is a way to listen for when a new release is published to a repository. So when we publish a new release, it actually has a git commit, and that git commit will then be associated to a workflow run that you can use the GitHub APIs to navigate and be able to get back to the actual workflow. So when somebody does publish a new release, we can get notified, and then we can then go and kick off the Ortelius CLI to create the version at that point. So it's like a passive way of gathering the information we need without having to be injected into any of the workflows. So what that means is when we look back at all of the dependencies, well, we can say, oh, we have a new version of this that was published for this component. Now go grab the SBOM for that new version, and then make sure that all the dependencies that we have, we want to start monitoring those dependencies as well for updates. So it's like this passive way of us gathering and starting to collect all the data from all the packages that we found.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's I have to write up an
Very.
issue around that because it's a little complicated on how we hook everything together, but it should be pretty doable.
It's amazing how advanced GitHub is. It always amazes me.
Yeah, and
You can
we'll
do
need
a lot.
and we'll need your expertise, Sasha, to deal with GitLab as well on how we can listen
GitLab.
to on how GitLab's doing stuff, and even with Jenkins, we'll want to
You do
know
realize
if
I'm a hacker, eh? I hack. Is that okay, Steve?
yeah.
We are all hackers.
I'm glad I'm in this. I'm glad I'm in Ortelius.
Yeah, and we'll have to do the same thing with like Jenkins. We want to do a passive way to listen for Jenkins jobs and stuff like that that I've completed, grab their information, those
Cool.
things. So Jenkins is probably the most complicated one because it's just so freeform. You know, the
Yeah.
GitHub Actions they've forced you
Complicated.
into a box. So
Yeah. Which is not always a bad thing
Jenkins,
sometimes.
yeah, freeform is. Because somebody could call, Docker build directly in their workflow file. Other
Yeah.
ones will use a plugin to run a Docker build. Other ones will use some other.
CLI, you can use CLI tools, calling APIs, curls, like it's crazy.
Yeah,
You can do it. It's mad. Yeah.
Yeah, you could use curl to go ahead and post something over to Quay.
Yeah.
Have Quay
Yeah.
build it, and then wait for the result to happen. So the whole
mad, huh?
GitHub
Yeah.
side is much more complicated than the GitHub Actions. Even
Yeah.
GitLab can be kind of free form, but there's still a box you have to fit into on the GitLab side.
Yeah, it's true.
Does GitLab have like reusable actions like GitHub does?
I think Arvind's also done a bit in GitLab, hey, Arvind? I think you and we're working together on a few things just to help iron out a few things. Yeah, they do have something, I think, similar to.
Yes, Let me find
Yeah.
if like I have the examples.
Okay.
What were we building? We were building Docker containers or something, Arvind, the other day.
We are implementing Renovate on the GitLab.
Yeah. Ah, yes, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, Steve, they do have something similar to that. And I also know, like, for example, Bitbucket, which is my least favorite repo, my
Yeah.
least
But
favorite.
but
I keep on
I
forgetting
have
about Bitbucket.
I have
It's-
implemented this, so that will like help us a lot later.
But if you can just think about how we can passively get notified and, things on that front.
I've been
For that,
standardizing things like, sorry, Arvind, just quickly, like I say, using a thing like Pipedream,
Yeah.
because it centralizes all the API calls in the cloud. And then I'm using one tool for multiple providers. And I just use that as my as like my central portal to communicate between whatever chat messenger you're using and your application in the cloud, right? I use that
Yeah.
as a central hub. I don't know
Yeah.
if that makes sense. It might be a bad idea, but it seems to be working pretty well.
And that may be another option is for monitoring or collecting
Yeah.
the releases and stuff that we funnel them all through Discord or something like that, through a Discord channel or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. I'll send you the link. I mean, I use the free tier for now because, I mean, yeah, I don't need paid for, but it's quite generous and they give you code snippets already,
Yeah.
pre-baked. So like if you need JavaScript or if you need whatever you need to try anything, you can get started quite quickly, which is quite nice. And you can sync it
So
with a
why,
repo, which is also cool.
right? So
Yeah.
while Arvin's looking for that GitLab example, one of the things I did was I've and Tracy helped me on this to get the non-functional requirements posted. So there is a blog that Tony, Kate, and I think Jen did, and then we kind of broke out and added in the non-functional requirements that we've talked about. So if everybody could just check out to make sure these non-functional requirements make sense. I'm going to throw it in the chat, the page. But if you just go out to the Ortelius site, you'll see the.
Yeah, I can do it right now. I'll
Yeah.
throw it out.
Oh, that's
I
really
just
cool.
put it in chat.
Okay,
But
and then, so there's two now. There's the standard, what a non-functional requirement is. And then there's Steve's one that specifies what the Ortelius ones are.
So this is laying out what they are. So it's a really nice blog on that. And then based on that, I went and put together what are.
Is that Ching's? Did you put Ching's diagram in? Is that Ching's
Yeah.
diagram?
Yes, yeah,
Oh, cool. I
Yeah.
told her, she showed me and she said, what do you think? I said, no, you should show that to Steve. That thing is cool, man.
Yeah.
yeah.
So this is the
Yeah.
the blog post around the non-functional requirements. What are they? Why do they matter? Type of blog that they put together, and then I kind of took that and did based on what we have for Ortelius, what we're looking for our non-functional requirements, such as like the availability, performance, scalability,
That's cool.
the security. So we have an answer. So in this document here, they kind of pose the question: how does Ortelius handle them? So you'll see down here. So how does Ortelius handle availability? That's the question that's posed, and this is kind of the answer part of it. So we broke it into two documents. So please review those two documents and see if there's anything we need to change, or if this makes sense for our non-functionals.
Yo, I'm gonna learn a lot. Never mind. Yo, that's cool.
Arvin, were you able to find that or not?
Yes, I'm sharing my screen. That my screen is visible.
Yep.
So I have written it's a program, and in the GitLab CI is deploying the React application to AWS Beanstalk.
Okay.
So we define stages,
Yep.
and if we put like dot in front of it, as it will not run directly in the pipeline. Either we can reference it, or it's something like we are commenting the code, or we are
Now,
commenting the job.
so for each one of those, is there a reusable template or image that you can bring
E-
in?
no, but we have a reusable job. So the dot deploy job we are using in the staging and the production
All
using the
right.
action command.
But
If we comment it,
can you
yes,
bring the dot deploy job from another location, or does it have to be in this file?
we can maybe I have to look for that.
So in the GitHub Actions, they have a concept of reusable actions or reusable workflows. What I'm wondering is if GitLab has the same thing, like a plugin marketplace like GitHub does.
Yeah, so like for example, like Atlassian for their Bitbucket pipelines, they have something called pipes. Yeah,
Right.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's not that great though. I would never recommend Bitbucket to
It's
anybody.
telling that we can create it. Yeah, we can include the
Oh, okay, cool. So they have that concept.
yes reference.
Yep. All right. Just so we know that we may need to create one of those reusable things for GitLab.
I can post off on a document here migrating from GitHub Actions to GitLab and something called GitLab
Yeah,
Quick Actions. I
Yeah,
think
if you
that's
could
what it
drop
is.
that
they
in Discord, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
yeah, I'm gonna drop that in for you now.
there's only like one limitation in the GitLab that for the share runner we only got 500 minutes a month free.
Right.
After that we have to
Yeah,
pay,
Yeah.
yeah.
and we have a lot of like files in our microservices. So if like we will run it there, we have to like pay a little bit money.
Yeah. All right. That was all on my list for today. Anybody else have anything else that we need to look at?
Yes, since on May 24 we are doing our event, and we are like releasing a new Ortelius UI. We have to create a demo also.
Yeah, I don't know if where we're going to be at with the new UI, but that is a nice goal to have on that front.
Uh, if can you tell me like how many issues we needed for like the new UI?
How many issues?
Yes, if you like want to create issues like 30,
There,
40 issues,
there's about 50 issues out there around the new UI already.
can you tag them or like make a project so like we can start working on them
Yeah,
like every day?
that's already out there as a project.
Why don't you show it to him in GitHub, Steve?
That's what I'm going to do. I'm getting there right now.
Yeah.
Because since I am free, we can work on that and
I
we
think
can
one
do
of
some
the,
rapid
I think
development.
one of the, I think one of the primary things that we have not yet defined is what dashboard, what dashboard data we should be presenting at the higher levels. So when you first go into the SaaS platform, right now it takes you to all those lists, which we already talked about cleaning up. But it would be interesting for us to work on a requirements doc together that says this is the high level data we should be displaying. For example, do we want to show applications first and have little boxes for each application that has high level security information? Like in this application, there are 15 high risk vulnerabilities because every time you would open it, it could have a different number, right? We might want to take a look at what there was a really good session that Armory did around what they're doing. Let me see if I can find that. I sent this to Steve for him to take a look at. Let me look at my emails and do you happen to have that link, Steve? I could probably find it pretty quickly. Let me look.
Yeah.
I sent it to you kind of late in the day. Anchor, yeah, here we go. So here, check out this. Yeah,
I'll just put it in chat and I can.
I am getting there.
Yes, and
Is that
So
right?
we're waiting for.
That's weird.
So if you go to Ortelius at the high level, Arvin, and then underneath that you're going to have projects,
That does not make sense.
and you'll see Ortelius releases.
Weird. It won't let me put the whole. I don't know. I'm having some kind of weird issue. I'm going to put it in the doc instead.
Okay.
okay.
So
And Tracy,
Yes.
yeah,
you have all
last time
the.
I told, yeah, Steve, go ahead.
So we have version 11, which is a new version, version 10, and then there's other views out there. So these are the issues that are currently out there that need to be worked on. So like the one that's been assigned to you, Arvin, was this one around your open telemetry and adding the MITRE mitigations to the environments object. So those are out there. If there's not enough detail or if they're not clear enough, let me know and I can go into the issue and add in some more details. I have a couple to create. I talked to Raj yesterday and I have to create his issue. As part of that, Arvin, I'll have some more details on your issue you've been assigned to on the telemetry, because there's some stuff that Raj is going to produce some more data that he's going to collect that we need to associate.
Yeah, I will do it in priority. This is true.
Cool. But that's
We
where
skipped it
all
last.
this is where everything is.
Yeah, can you like assign me any big issues?
Assign you which one?
A big issue, which is
A
like
big issue?
on a priority.
Okay. Well, let me go through it. I will get that assigned to you.
Yes. Or I am thinking like if we can like do it before May 24, we can show it to like in the conference.
Yep. And like Tracy said, we'll need a kind of the requirements for the landing page, what we want to show. But we know based on the last couple of weeks how we want it to be laid out with the boxes and stuff. So on the UI side, we can start putting the boxes in place and then adding in based on an overall requirements, what summary details we need to show in each box.
I'm thinking of like let's work in two separately. First team work on the front end part, and the second tip is work on creating the APIs for that UI. Because we can change the layout anytime, but we need that API first.
Yeah, and I think most of the APIs should be there.
We have to create for the personas.
Well, we're not going to do a persona. We'll have like a box to say that, or something that will navigate on the menu items to show I want to filter by domain, or it's just basically a different view. So we have an application view, a domain level view, and then an environment level view. So those could be just filters, or they could just be a menu item on the view. But the end result is you end up with the same box. It's just filtering that information.
Got it. E- Yes. Tracy, I showed this demo in the last meeting, but I shared it in the chat for you. Can you like
Okay.
look at the dashboard of
Yep.
the like SRE and the security?
Okay. I'll put this. I'll put that in the notes too. Yep. So what I'm thinking is something similar to this, but maybe we should find that dashboard, the Security Insights dashboard. Doc should be created for no, I'm just updating the notes here, defining what high level info should be presented on the front, on the first landing pages. Examples. Okay, I put those both out there. And then there was the Open SSF. That so we attended, just a quick update. We did get to attend the first metrics and metadata working group. I would have to say they have a lot. They had a lot to say, and there's the person who's running this is very excited about the security insights. He talked a lot about the security insights. While we think that there's some, potential problems with the way that they're implementing it in terms of scalability, we should keep our eyes on it for work moving forward. If there's data that we could potentially pull from that, it may not be something that is available immediately though, because a lot of it is manual data entry, and it's going to take some time for that project to start flourishing where people are adopting it. So just something to think about. They do have a dashboard that they're working on, and I don't know why I can't find it. It's the hardest thing to find.
I couldn't find it the other day either.
I wonder if did I put it in the notes from our last time we talked about it? Maybe it is in these notes.
I don't recall.
Well, we looked at Clo Monitor, and Clo Monitor is another good one, right? So let's just look at that again right now.
Yeah.
Could you bring up Clo Monitor, Steve?
Yep. So let me share my screen again. Yep.
And in the meantime, I'll try to find that dashboard.
So this is what we're talking about with the boxes, and we just hit to figure out the list of summary items that we want to
Exactly.
display
Exactly like that. So what we should probably get start thinking about it. And I'll later today, I will get a document going and share it with everybody, and I'll start putting some notes in and maybe doing a little bit of design work on what that high level information should be. I think vulnerability should be probably top of our list, because I think that for what most people are needing right now is an easy place to go to find vulnerabilities. We are unique. Ortelius is very unique in that we can aggregate up to an application level. Many of the tools that are out there, commercial tools included, most of them, gather this data for one Docker container at a time, which is hard to, contextualizing that kind of data, one Docker container at a time in a microservices environment is not useful. I'm just going to say it. It's just not.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, if we can show, let's say if we had, our first thing is we show at the aggregated application level, all of this particular data, and we should have, or we're drinking our own champagne. So when we build this, we should show Ortelius right up front, right? Because that's what people are going to look at. what Ortelius is, all those, what do we want to show about Ortelius in terms of its security?
Yep.
Do we want to show the vulnerabilities? Do we want to show where it's been, how many times it's been consumed? What do we want to start showing? And that's the conversation we need to have. I don't know where this dashboard went to, I swear.
They may
I'm
have
just-
pulled it down, so I don't know.
I'm just thinking what you said, Tracy. If you're having it on a per Docker container level, then you're somebody like Netflix with, I don't know, they must have thousands and thousands.
You're right.
Thousands. They have thousands, and
That must be that's impossible for anyone to use that system. I would think the overload would just be insane, right? The information overload is.
I would think so. It's just hard.
Yeah.
And if we think about, who we really are catering to, is we would like to cater to companies who are more highly regulated than maybe a company who's got 10 microservices. And those more highly regulated companies need the ability to quickly be able to pull together a aggregated, what we would call SBOM, and show for an application for taking all of those Docker containers that make up the application, what the application's vulnerabilities are. So I think it would be helpful for people to understand that that's our superpower. There was a lot of work that went into building that versioning engine, and we don't I don't think we talk about it as much as we need to.
Oh, that makes sense. It's a unified view of all the microservices as a whole instead of going too granular. That's the problem.
Right.
If you're a financial services company or a retail company, you need to move quickly, right? You need that information. You can't go one by one. I see.
Exactly.
What's up,
Yeah.
Steve, can I share my screen? I think we can use some component from the port. Does my screen is visible?
Yep.
I think from there, the security dashboard, we can copy this part. Production vulnerabilities and critical misconfiguration.
Yep. So put that link in the doc, because I don't think. Oops.
Yeah, I
saw in there. You had a link to that, but not to that specific page.
I will post it in the doc.
Okay.
And the second part is in the SRE. We have to pick the critical error parts. Because most people won't tell us if they are related to production, and we can skip this part, Grafana, and the service this free part.
Right. So the SRE in our world would be the environment view.
Yes. We can give the brief summary and we can show them the critical errors, or we can show them like the release, that kind of stuff. And from the security purposes, we can show these stars, but we don't need like 4 different examples. Like Tracy is saying, we need only one, and we have to show the CVs and configuration part.
Right.
And in the engineering stuff, as normally, DORA metrics, production readiness. I'm not sure about that.
Yep. So I think it'll be a mix between this one and the CLO monitor style. So we'll have to, like Tracy said, we have to figure out what summary information we want.
I can't paste it.
Julia also posted something.
I can't paste it here. It's okay, I will post it in the chat.
Oh yeah, sorry. I have been oddly silent, thinking a lot in the background. Same as you, Sasha, I'm preparing for interviews, and I actually have to
Oh,
do a dashboard oriented to DevSecOps, so it has to have everything. And I'm working with Snyk and security implementations, and I'm learning the idea in the background right now to add something of Ortelius to the presentation I'm going to make on Monday. So I have a bit more of time to prepare, but also I get to include the cybersecurity insights. Just browsing around right now, I found that in how they manage the issues and the visualizations that they run. And something my future manager, I hope, told me was that they really need to monitor the SLAs and the KPIs. So metrics will be firsthand, and as Arvin said, critical alerts are just way too overwhelming. Most of the time are not that critical at the point to resolve the issue. So they should be at the bottom. First up, I suggest we start with the metrics, then the timeline, as Steve had said before, because it helps us monitor quickly in a more visual way what's wrong at that very moment without having to look at too much data, and then go a bit more specific about which feature are we having problems with at which level. So that will be kind of like a filter. So that's what I have so far.
very cool. Nice.
Well, let us know if you need any help on that, or if you want us to look at anything, just reach out.
Steve, can you like put it in a doc? So like I will create a Figma design for you and Tracy to look.
Yeah, I've used Snyk a lot myself for my own personal stuff, just to test it. It's got a nice interface, right? Yeah.
Okay, there it should be in there now, Arvin.
Thanks.
And let me put the Snyk one in there.
Good luck with your interview. Can I ask Julia, is it, do we call you Julia or Elizabeth? Because I see in your Zoom it comes up with Julia, and then, and then in Discord it says, I think Elizabeth, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm calling her the right name. How do you?
Thanks for the good luck.
Yeah.
Same as well. I know that you will nail it, like literally nail it.
I hope so.
I was telling Tracy the other time, actually, both are fine by me. The only thing is that when people speak to me in Spanish, Julia has kind of like a very rough pronunciation, and it's not as friendly for me. So I go by Elizabeth mostly, but
okay.
with other languages,
Okay.
I don't know why, but it's fine either ways.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to ask you just to make
Yeah,
sure
no
I'm using
problem.
the right name.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're
cool.
doing it right. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
All right. Anything else? I think I got
I
most.
just want to make sure, just give everybody an update on our Secure Chain Con. The CFP will be out officially tomorrow. We got accepted on Sessionize to get a free version, and that's all set up. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the fabulous artwork that you did and getting that flyer done. That was awesome, and I incorporated that into the blog page. So all of that should be out, and CFP should be opened as of tomorrow. So we are rolling on that.
Oh,
and
nice.
we have a keynote. Her name is Carolyn Wong. She is the Chief Strategy Officer for a company called Cobalt.io that does pen testing in cybersecurity. And she's going to talk about what she calls offensive and defensive cybersecurity.
Oh, that's going to be so cool.
Yeah, she'll do a 15-minute pre-recorded session that will run on Twitch as our keynote for the Twitch session.
What's the company called, Tracy?
Cobalt, COBALT.io.
Like the language.
No,
like the mineral.
Mineral.
Like the mineral. Okay.
The blue stuff.
The blue stuff.
The blue stuff.
It's
Okay, thanks.
Cobalt.io, I think it's spelled.
And just so everybody knows, I canceled next week's meeting. I'm going to be not around, so we're just going to skip that one for next week. Doesn't mean you get off the hook for doing work, but
I'll get that requirements doc out pretty quick here so we can start working on it.
Steve, I'm a very good delegator, I promise you. Arvin
right.
is really busy. To get him, he's laughing.
Sounds good.
Cheers.
All right. Anything else?
No.
No.
All right. Cool. Thanks, everybody. We'll
Bye.
chat soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.